So let's say your entire life you always dreamed of becoming a millionaire. Money was always super important to you, but you just never got around to even looking for ways to become a millionaire because you just didn't know where to start. And then one day you met a mutual friend who is a friend of your friend who is a millionaire. You met him at some party or whatever. Somehow you and him really clicked, you really liked one another, you ended up talking for 2-3 hours, and eventually, after really clicking with him, and you know that this friend is a millionaire, this mutual friend is a millionaire, you eventually went ahead and told him that you want to be a millionaire as well and you're really serious about it. And because this person now likes you, they go ahead and tell you exactly how to become a millionaire. They give you a plan and they tell you that this plan is going to take you 3 to 4 years. But as long as you follow my advice and you do X, Y, Z, they tell you what to do and exactly how to do it and the period of time it's going to take, and that it's almost going to guarantee you that you become a millionaire. And then you and him part ways, you exchange contact information, and he tells you to call him if you ever feel like you're doubtful or if you ever feel like you're lost, but only to call him if you're really serious about doing this and if you're actually doing the work necessary to become a millionaire. All of a sudden, after you leave that party and you and this person part ways, you suddenly feel this strong charge, this strong desire, this strong will. You suddenly feel really confident and really hopeful about what's to come in your life. It's like all of a sudden you have the strong will to make this happen, no matter how hard it is. You know it's going to take you 3 to 4 years, you have a definite plan, and you are being coached by a person who is a millionaire themselves. You now know exactly what you're doing and you're being coached by someone who's already done it. And that's what motivation is. Now, before me explaining to you why you don't feel motivated, let me first start with what the word motivation actually means. The word motivation comes from the word motive, and a motive is a strong desire to do something, having a strong desire to do something. You see, people nowadays just throw that term around, the term motivation, like it's nothing. Oh, you should be motivated, you are so motivated, good job. They don't have any idea where it's actually coming from. So it's a strong desire to do something. But I personally believe it's even more deeper than that. Many of us are not motivated, not necessarily because we don't have a desire to do something, although that is many times the case. There's a deeper reason because we don't know where we're going. That's the deeper reason. We do not know where we're going. Now I might sit there and ask, what do you mean I don't know where I'm going? I have a job, I pay my bills, I provide for my family. I still feel stuck, but I know where I'm going. Well, here's the thing. Those are all valid reasons. They're not wrong reasons. But what I'm talking about is having what's known as a definite purpose and a definite plan to achieve that purpose. That way you'll know where you're going, and that way you'll have the desire to do that thing because you already know what's going to happen. You know what the end result is going to be. So the reason why you don't feel motivated is probably because you don't know where you're going. Now, if you're a normal person, more than likely you have a strong desire to succeed. You have a very strong desire to succeed, but more than likely you're not at that level that you want to be because either A, you don't have the plan to get there, or B, you are surrounded by people who are living mediocre lives and they don't have plans themselves to get there. And because you become like your environment, you become like the average 5 people you spend the time around most, you end up just like them. Usually most of us, we're not motivated because we have a combination of both. We don't have the plan, and we're also surrounded by people who don't have those specific results or they don't have those specific plans. Take, for example, a person who is very physically fit. Many times, these people who are very physically fit right now come from a background where they were fat at some point in time. Many of them were fat kids. So this fat kid back then used to feel very disrespected by his friends. He didn't really feel respect from them. They were telling him, oh, you're really fat, you're really fat. And so one day, this person just got really sick of it. Therefore, he decided, I'm not going to take this shit anymore. I'm going to have to make a change. And so they made a change in their life by looking up things on the internet, by looking up how to eat healthy food. Maybe they even hired a nutritionist, and they became a nerd at that thing. And then because right now, for example, luckily, it's very easy to find how-to videos in terms of information on how to get fit online, on basically any workout, or also on any diet plan. So this person, they follow that plan and they know it's going to take 6 to 12 months to achieve it. And because in the back of their mind, they know it, they follow that plan because they know where they're going. So they had a strong desire to become respected by their peers and to look better, to like what they see in the mirror. That's the first. The second, they have a plan to achieve it, and they've seen other people online who've achieved similar things. And they know that within, for example, 6 to 12 months, they're going to be physically fit. That gives them the strong desire to go to the gym and become physically fit. That's what motivation is for this particular person. And I have a personal example myself. How on earth do you think I have the motivation to pump out an average of 5 videos a week? It's because I have a strong desire. Why do I have a strong desire? Because I have a specific plan to get there. Actually, it's not just that. It's because number one, I love doing this. I'm obsessed with anything related to personal development. I love filming and teaching you guys these things. Number two, I have a very specific plan as to how I'm going to achieve it. So because I have the strong desire and have a definite plan and a definite purpose, that's how I do these things. Oftentimes when I tell people that I'm a content creator, they go like, oh my God, yeah, that makes sense. It's because you're so motivated. You're very motivational. That's why you're a content creator, and that's why you're able to put yourself out there on YouTube. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, that couldn't be further from the truth. They make it seem like I have abnormally higher levels of motivation compared to the average person, when really that's not the case. All it is that I know what I want, I know where I'm going, and I have the strong desire. That's what's making me consistent. That's what's making me do this. I also see the end result in my mind because number one, not only do I love it, number two, eventually it's going to be making me the kind of money that I want. And because that's what I value and because I'm obsessed with personal development, it's my passion. That's why I'm consistent at doing this. That's why I have the desire to do this. That's why I have the desire to sit right here in front of this camera and record right in front of you. It's literally that simple. Why do you think many people here in the US, when they go to college for a 4-year degree, they either drop out completely or they get their degree within 6 to 8 years? Do you think it's because they're stupid? Absolutely not. It's because they don't know where they're going. That's usually the reason. They don't have a strong enough motive to do this thing. They don't have a strong enough motive to do this thing because they don't know where they're going. They don't know where they're going because their ideas are very vague. They don't really know what they want. One day they're like, oh yeah, I want to become an accountant. Maybe I should become an accountant. The next day they're like, oh yeah, maybe I should become a lawyer. The next day they're like, oh yeah, maybe I should become a teacher. They get 2 months off every year, so I should definitely become a teacher. They don't have definite plans, and because they don't have definite plans, that's why they drop out, because they can't stick with it. They can't stick with the plan because they don't have that strong desire to do it. That's why they either take way longer to get their 4-year college degree or they end up dropping out. Speaking of dropping out, this is something you rarely see with people with backgrounds from third world countries. It's either because they lived in poverty or they've seen people who lived in poverty and they've seen what poverty looks like. Therefore, they're like, I don't want this shit. So they don't drop out of college. These people are typically very driven because they have a definite plan, because they tell themselves, my success is not optional. I'm either going to achieve something out of my life, whether it's through college or becoming something big like a big businessman. It's either that or nothing. It's either all or nothing. Success is not optional for them. That's why they're very driven typically. Why? Because of their desire to do something. And they know that if I go to college and follow this path, I'm going to be making an X amount of money doing what I like. Obviously, it differs from person to person, but that's generally the gist of it. Speaking of poverty, I have a great example I read about recently. It's the example of the soccer player named Sadio Mane. He is a Senegalese soccer player who now plays for Bayern Munich. Now, this soccer player grew up in poverty, in absolute poverty. He was really talented at soccer from a very young age, and even his parents and his friends knew this. But when he told people when he was a little kid that he was one day going to be playing in the Premier League, in the English league in soccer, they all laughed and they said, you're really talented, but the odds of that happening is very slim. One day, when he was, I think, a teenager, I read about this a few days ago. When he was a teenager, he literally escaped his village, which is a poverty village in Senegal, and went to a different city, which was a few hours away, I can't remember, by bus or something like that, just to try out for some soccer tournaments. And he showed up with very poor clothing. His shoes were cut. They could literally see his toes. And one of the guys there told him, you're not allowed to play with that specific type of shoes. And then he told him, that's all I got. Long story short, he took the risk and he competed, and they saw that he was very talented. And eventually people from clubs and stuff like that started recognizing him. A couple years later, maybe even less, I think, he was signed to some club in France. And even his mom didn't believe him. He said he was going to go and play for a club, so he had to leave. Eventually, he called her. He was like, hey, mom, I'm in France. And as the years went by, he kept scoring more and more and more, proving himself more and more and more, until eventually he became one of the top in the world. The whole reason why I'm saying this story is because this person took himself out of that poverty and became a world-class and world-famous soccer player. Why did he do it? Because he had a strong motive to do it. Why did he have a strong motive to do it? Because of two things. Number one, he really, really, really loved soccer and was talented at it. Number two, he saw poverty and he was living in poverty, and he said, I am not going to do this. This does not suit me. I'm not going to live in poverty anymore. That's why he was very driven. And I personally love this story. It was very inspirational. I love stories like that. So if you're currently not feeling motivated, or the next time you feel like you're not motivated, ask yourself these questions. Number one, do I have a strong desire to do anything? And if you can't answer that question, ask yourself the second question. Do I know where I'm going in life? Do I have a plan, a specific, definite purpose and a definite plan? If you can't answer those questions, you need to do some inner work and then answer those questions, and then you'll have your answer.